I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get it, no call it quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, shield my greed. That's how I get it, success ain't no giving. Some days I don't hit, I don't slay. When I'm focused on dangerous, they don't want it when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank, I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze, the roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag, I know this because I've been in it. I don't need to brag, I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math, I'm out of my pocket. Houston, we got a problem, I ain't perfect, let them watch me. Elevating, got them nauseous, cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit. Nose diving in the house and woo. Watch how I get it here, watch how I get it here, watch how I get it here.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my final thoughts for UFC Vegas 65. We got Sergey Spivak going against Derek Lewis. A nice 12-fight card here. And I'll kick off the show by saying I hate this card from a betting perspective. Absolutely hate it. I think it's a fun card. I think it's be fun to watch, sit there and watch. Early start time as well. But as far as like betting goes, it's probably my least favorite card of the year. But I like it for Draftkings. I have a lot of invested in Draftkings, and it's one of the very rare weeks where I have more invested on Draftkings than I do from a betting perspective. I do have 5 bets. 3 of those are parlays. Just not a ton sticking out. A lot of very sketchy fights, especially these prelims. I mean, you can make a case for pretty much every single dog this week outside of Danny Roberts. It's a rough week from a betting perspective. Just to put it in perspective, I had 16 bets last week and only 5 this week. So a very, very light card for me. I don't like it from a betting perspective. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a fun card, like I said, but from a betting perspective, just keeping it light. Bankroll management's key, and I just have a bad feeling about a lot of these fights. So before we get started, as always, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like 1,700 away from 20K. Was hoping to hit that by the end of the year. We have a chance. We have a chance. So if you are not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. It does go a long, long way. I do want to shout out the sponsor, as always, for the Friday show. We got Verdict Tournaments. Go check them out if you have not already. Verdict Tournaments there. And, of course, we should shout out the chat as well. I know Bellator is going on. Lots going on. Not the best card in the world, so I'm not sure how many are going to show up, but appreciate that everybody does show up on Friday. We got Kai first one in the chat. What is up, Kai? Kai was in here at like 2 o'clock p.m., so Kai was in here like 5 hours early. Shout out to him. We got Bill in the chat as well. What is up, Bill? How are you doing? Buffo asking if I have any Bellator action. No, I do not. Typically try to stay far, far away from Bellator. Lots of big favorites, lots of chalky favorites that a lot of times lose and those parlays bust. I try to stay away from it unless something really sticks out, then I'll dig into it. We got Zayed in the chat. He's saying, what's up, Brady? Good luck for your bet on Saturday. Good luck to you as well, Zayed. Always nice to see you in here. We got Juan saying, let's get it 3 units on the main event to end in knockout. Yeah, I saw that as well. I think on FanDuel they had it like minus 190. DraftKings was minus 200. I think it's a good look. We got John in the chat saying Maria Oliveira fight week. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's one of those fights where it's a very tough fight to call. And there's a couple of them on this card. We got Michael in the chat saying, what's up, Brady? What is up, Michael? Zayed with the dono. Appreciate you, Zayed. $5 does go a long, long way. Thank you for supporting week in and week out. Always appreciate you. Juan saying, thoughts on Bladea as a dog on DK in her ownership? I think she's going to be pretty low owned. I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me, but I do have a decent amount of Bladea on DK just because her win condition is going to be wrestling. And if you saw the weigh-ins, for one, she had a probably one of the worst haircuts I've ever seen. But despite that, she was huge. She's going to have a big size advantage. So, yeah, I do like her on DraftKings. I do think she'll be semi-low owned. We got Hag in the chat as well. We got Papa Chuck. We got Nicholas. We got Paul. Bellator way too chalky. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. On DK, who's your favorite cheap fighter? There's actually a couple that stick out. I think Chase Sherman at 7,100 is a good look on DK. I think Ian Kudalaba has first-round upside. Even Derek Lewis is a guy that has upside with that knockout power. So those are three that I'm really looking at this week. I think there's some solid plays down low. We got NH as well, and we got Cody in the chat. Nice to see you as well. Appreciate you hanging out and stopping by and chatting. But yeah, guys, let's get into it. Let us start with the first fight of the card. And we got Natalia Silva going against Teresa Bladea. We have Silva minus 165, Bladea plus 140. I see a lot of people taking the shot on the dog here, and it makes sense. There are still a lot of unknowns, really, with both fighters. Bladea has not fought the best competition. She's only 20 years old. Natalia Silva is kind of an interesting fighter where she took a really long layoff, came back in UFC Austin. I was at the event, and I did pick against her. I didn't bet Jasmine Jasdavicius at like minus 250, nothing like that. I would never do something like that. But was kind of expecting Jasmine to go out there, mix some takedowns. We have seen Silva stuck on her back before, but she came back after that layoff and looked like a completely different fighter. Just a completely different fighter in that layoff, and which was kind of expected, right? Last time she fought prior to that, she was like 23. Now she's like 25. So you're going to see big improvements, and we did. We saw great improvements from Silva. Her striking looked better than ever. Her takedown defense looked elite. So, yeah, I'm going to pick Silva to win, but, Bladea, she's huge. She has a big size advantage. We saw at the weigh-ins, and like I said, from a DraftKings perspective, I do have some interest on the Bladea side just because she is 7,300. She is going to be low-owned, and if she does win, it's probably because she got takedowns, and like I said, we have seen Silva stuck on her back in the past. But as far as like a bet on this fight, nothing is really sticking out. I was maybe tempted on violence. Looks like BetOnline opened up the under 2.5 at like plus 250. If I could have got that, then I would have been interested. It's now like plus 190, something like that. Just a fight I'm content with just staying away. I think we're going to learn a lot about really both fighters in this matchup. So to sit back and watch this one, I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's a really fun fight to kick off the card, but not one I really want to lay my money on from a betting perspective. And like I said, on DraftKings, it's Bladea or pass for me at 7,300. So should be a fun one. Give me Silva for the win, but not anything from a betting perspective there. We got Sean in the chat. Let's go, Brady. Let's go, Sean. Not low owned, according to Lou. 27% owned. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I could pull it up, but it would take a couple minutes. But yeah, I'll take a look at it in a second. But I think it's going to be low. I mean, you have Derek Lewis down there. He's going to be very popular. You have Ian Kudalaba. He's going to be very popular. You have Chase Sherman. He's going to be very. So I don't know where that ownership. I don't think she's going to be that high owned. But we'll see. But we can move on. We have Brady Heestand going against Fernie Garcia. And we have Brady Heestand. He is minus 170. Fernie Garcia is plus 145. Some money's been coming in on Brady throughout the week. If you have Prize Picks, they had the Brady Heestand takedowns like at 2.5, which is kind of ridiculous. I'm not sure if that's still there, but definitely worth a look. And then if you have BetOnline, they had the takedowns at 3.5 at about a pick'em, and even then, I think that's a good look. Like if Brady wins this fight, he's probably going to get I could see Brady getting 10 takedowns in this fight, just because Fernie Garcia, his takedown defense is not good, but his get-up game actually is really good. So I could see Brady getting him down, Fernie standing right back up, and then Brady just getting him right back down to the mat. So I like those overs on Prize Picks and BetOnline, if anything. As far as betting Brady, I don't know. I kind of have a weirdish feeling about this one. It's one of those fights where you take a look at Brady's record. He's not really fought anybody outside of, Ricky Turcios, Reddinghouse on The Ultimate Fighter, and that was a very close fight. But, prior to that, he's fighting like the bottom of the barrel competition. So this is going to be a good test for him, and I think he can go out here and win minutes with his wrestling. He's a guy that can keep up a wrestling heavy pace for 15 minutes, but Fernie's get-up game is good, and that's kind of the one reason I stayed off the Brady side in terms of a bet. It's because I never really saw Fernie get held down for a long period of time. When he gets taken down, he's popping right back up. And if this fight's at range for any point in time, Fernie's going to be the much better striker by a mile. Brady still has a long way to go in terms of the striking. But I just think Brady can go out here, consistently get takedowns. And like I said, I can see him getting like 10 takedowns. So for DraftKings, I am all over Brady here at 8,500. I think he has a ton of takedown upside, some control time upside. And I think he has one of the higher ceilings on the entire slate. at only 8,500. So I love Brady from a DraftKings standpoint. From a betting perspective, not so much, especially where the line has moved now, because I could see a scenario where, Brady is getting these takedowns, but, Fernie's standing back up and on the feet. Fernie's landing the bigger shots, the better shots. And if this does go to a decision, which I think it does, what are the judges going to favor, the damage, or are they going to favor the takedowns and control? So it's kind of one of those fights. But yeah, I think Brady should get it done here. But I'm more so from a DraftKings perspective. For me, he will be one of my highest exposed fighters for sure. Brady 40% owned on DK. Yikes. Yeah, he's going to be very high on, and you got to expect that he's like the best play on the slate. So I think 40% owned is not high enough. This guy has so much upside and only 8,500. I think he has the most upside, maybe outside of like a Jack Della Madalena. True, I can't see her being that high. Yeah, that's pretty high, especially with all the other popular plays around her. So yeah, give me Brady, and we will see what happens there. All right, we'll keep moving on. Vanessa Demopolis going against Maria Oliveira. So last night I went to bed early, which I typically don't. Typically up pretty late, and apparently FanDuel Sportsbook finally dropped their props at it was a little bit over midnight, and I was sleeping, and apparently they dropped the Demopolis by submission at plus 440, and then I wake up. And it's gone. It went from plus 440 to plus 340. So I would have been on that. I saw a lot of people that got on that, rightfully so. It's a ridiculous line. And even her sub prop at plus 330 is not the worst thing in the world, but I really would have liked that plus 440. Outside of that, though, not much is sticking out. It's a pick 'em fight for a reason. It's a weird fight. Vanessa Demopolis, I think if she can get this fight down to the match, she's going to have a big advantage. That's pretty much in every single one of her fights, but a very concerning stat is Demopolis only having a 7% takedown accuracy. And on the feet, Oliveira is going to have just a massive striking advantage, massive reach advantage as well. And that definitely does scare me. If Vanessa does not get this fight down to the mat, I just don't see her winning it. And you have to rely on somebody with a 7% accuracy to get the fight down to the mat, which is terrifying. So it would be the sub prop, if anything, for me. But another one, I'm not really wanting to lay money on either side here. The pick's going to be Demopolis. I think she does get it down to the mat eventually and find that sub, but not a ton of confidence in that. From a DraftKings perspective, it's Demopolis for me, 8,000. I think she has that submission upside, whereas Oliveira, if she wins, I don't see really a finish. Demopolis, very tough, never been finished. I don't see any takedowns from Oliveira. I think all the upside on DraftKings is Demopolis at 8,000. So give me Demopolis on DraftKings, but from a betting perspective, a fight I really don't want to bet on. Heestand will be high owned. Yes, I think he'll be very high owned. I feel like we should take a shot on Garcia, knowing he'll be very high owned. Picks like that make a difference in DraftKings. Yeah, I don't hate it. He's going to be very, very low owned for Garcia because the whole world is on Brady by the looks of it. I haven't really seen many people on Garcia. So yeah, I think it's worth some shots, put him in a couple lineups, but it's super hard to ignore the upside of Brady. That's for sure. Yeah, we saw Trezano break the slate last week. Yeah, we did. Trezano to win by first round knockout was plus 2,900 on FanDuel. Did not expect that one. That's for sure. All right. We'll keep moving on. Ricky Turcios, Kevin Natividad. Man, I hate this fight. There's a couple of fights on this card where I just hate it. Like this fight, and then we'll talk about the Sherman fight in a little bit. But I feel like it's a good spot for Ricky here. I feel like it's a good bounce back spot, a good buy low spot, a spot where people are really counting him out after that one bad performance. And it's kind of interesting. I go back and watch every single Turcios fight outside of that, and he's never looked that bad. So I'm thinking maybe it was a one-off. And if Ricky does show up and not do what he did in the last fight, landing at 11% accuracy, I think he should win here. I could see Natividad going back and maybe wrestling a little bit more in this fight. He has some wrestling outside the UFC, hasn't really shown it inside the UFC, but in the UFC, he fought Miles Johns, and then he got knocked out early on by Danat Bakary. So I think he might go to the takedown route here against Turcios, and he probably could have success taking him down, but not going to hold down Turcios. I think on the feet, it should be Turcios really all day. Love the volume, love the activity. It's just he's got to land. He was punching air his last time. So was kind of tempted on betting Ricky here around minus 155. The line's not moved at all throughout the week. But I just don't know if I can trust him. I think this guy is kind of a nutcase. I mean, listening to his interviews, I don't think he's all there, and I don't know if I really want to trust a guy like that. Like, I don't know. But he should. I think he should win this fight. But as far as putting money on him, I just don't know if I can trust him. That's the thing. From a DraftKings perspective, I love Ricky here. I think he has a ton of upside, and I think he's going to be semi-low owned as well. But yeah, the last performance was definitely not a good look. But I think I can forgive him potentially. Just one bad fight. If he loses to Natividad here, something's wrong though. I mean, he should go out there and beat Natividad handily. So give me Turcios on DraftKings 8,600. I really like that. I think he has a lot of upside with the volume. Very active fighter. It's just he's got to land. He's got to land. Last fight was not a good look. But yeah, I like Turcios here. Don't think I'm going to bet the guy though. Can't trust him. Ricky, the Wish version of El Kukui. Somewhat. I guess you could say that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I just can't trust the guy. So we'll move on. Miles Johns going against Vince Morales. Miles Johns around minus 170. Vince Morales plus 145. Miles Johns coming in on short notice. Another guy, I guess you could say I don't trust. I don't trust the cardio of Miles Johns. I don't trust the game plan of Miles Johns. This guy's a very good wrestler. He showed wrestling outside the UFC, but as of late, just not going for any takedowns at all. So if he goes out there and strikes with Vince Morales for 15 minutes, I mean, I guess it could be close. But I think the leg kicks can definitely be a factor. Morales obviously struggles with leg kicks. He's always has, and he always probably will. It's not something it's looking like he's going to fix anytime soon. So I think Miles Johns can chop the legs up here a little bit like he did against Anderson Dos Santos. But yeah, Morales, horrible takedown defense, less than 50%. I think Johns can go out there and mix in takedowns if he wants to. Does he have the cardio to do it coming in on short notice? I'm not sure. But yeah, I like Johns here, but just another price tag where I'm like minus 170. I'm okay with passing on that. I'm going to pick him to win, though. From a DraftKings perspective, I don't really hate either side. I think either side has decent upside. Miles Johns, especially if he wrestles, I think Miles Johns has some good upside, so I think I prefer him. But I just don't know if I can count on the guy to wrestle. You take a look at his last 3 fights. The guy has 0 takedowns. He had 0 against John Castaneda, and he attempted 1. He had 0 against Anderson Dos Santos. He attempted 0. And then he had 0 against Natividad. He did attempt 7, but he had 0. And then he actually had 0 against Batista as well. And he attempted 0. So I don't know. I would like him to wrestle, but it's not something I can really count on him to do. So give me a Johns, but another spot where I'm not running to the window for it. Okay, we will keep moving on here. We have Marina Moroz going against Jennifer Maia. Moroz minus 190, Jennifer Maia plus 160. Jennifer Maia has some of the most frustrating fight IQ out there. I mean, she could easily win this fight if she were to wrestle. But it's every fight with her. I'm like, she should go out there and wrestle, but she just doesn't. She refuses to even try. So how can you pick her? I mean, if she wrestles, it's probably an easy win. Moroz's takedown defense is awful, and Jennifer Maia is a black belt, really good grappler. It's just she doesn't go to it. She likes to stand and strike, and if she stands and strikes with Moroz, she's going to get out volumed here. And if she's not going to take down Moroz, I think Moroz can take down Maia. So if Maia comes in here with the right game plan, she could absolutely win, but she never does, ever. I remember the Chukagan fight. People were saying, oh, yeah, Maia's going to take down Chukagan. No, it was the other way around, actually. It was Chukagan taking down Jennifer Maia. So I'm not falling into that trap. Maia is not going to wrestle. If she did, she wins, I think. But she doesn't wrestle, so therefore I got to pick Moroz. Am I laying minus 190 on Marina Moroz? Absolutely not. That sounds terrible. But I'll pick her to win, and I'm not playing her on DraftKings at 9,000 as well. So yeah, just fading Moroz here on DraftKings. If anything, maybe I'll take some shots on Maia here, 7,200. Maybe she does go out there with a good game plan for the first time ever and wrestle and get the fight down to the mat and control. But I just can't count her to do that. So I'll have some Maia just in case she does go out there with a good game plan. But I have a pretty strong feeling she goes out there and stands and strikes with Moroz and probably gets out volume to a decision. I don't hate the fight goes to decision or the over 2.5 as a parlay piece. Both fighters super tough. Moroz never been finished ever. And then Maia only been finished in 2 of 9 losses, 7 of her losses coming by decision. So don't mind the over. Fight goes to decision, but I'll pick Moroz to get it done. What's up, Kiwi? How you doing? Got Kieran in the chat as well. What is up? What is up? All right, let's keep moving on. Charles Johnson going against Zhalgas Zumagulov. We have Charles Johnson minus 160, Zumagulov plus 140. It's probably gonna be a close fight. I mean, every single Zumagulov fight is close for the most part, so I expect this one to probably be close as well. I think the split decision prop is interesting. It's plus 400. I'm not betting it because every time I bet a split decision prop, no matter who's fighting, whether the fight is like minus 300 to go to decision, the fight finishes in the first round every time. So I'm not going to be betting it. But yeah, I think the split decision makes a lot of sense. It's going to be a close fight. I think Johnson's a better striker, but Zumagulov does have some power. I think Zumagulov can mix in some takedowns here. We've seen Johnson kind of struggle against that. So yeah, I think it goes to decision. I think it's close. I'm not laying minus 160 on Charles Johnson. If anything, it is probably a dogger pass. Same thing for DraftKings. I'm not laying 8,700 for Charles Johnson. If anything, it's Zumagulov at 7,500. Just the fight I'm not too interested in, to be honest. The pick's Johnson. I think he will be able to stuff the takedowns. I think he is the better striker, but it's going to be close. It's a fight that really could go either way. So not too much interest in this one. Pick's Johnson, though. Thoughts on the hair from Charles Johnson, the back at the bottom like that? Yeah, I was watching the stream today, and I don't know if it was the stream, it was bad quality or what, but I couldn't really see the back of his hair this time. I'm not sure if he cut it or what. I don't know if it's still there, but maybe it was just bad quality because I was looking for it, but I couldn't really see it. I've been winning on the NFL. There you go. But haven't bet the UFC for a while. Yeah, this is probably not the card to come back to and bet. It's not the best betting card in the world. Danny Roberts is a lock. I'm betting my house on him. Glad to hear that. Dyer, very glad to hear that. But don't bet your house. Actually, I'm not glad to hear that. Don't bet your house on Danny Roberts. If you like him, bet a little bit on him. But Danny Roberts is a lock. There we go. Okay. Let's move on to that fight. We have Jack Della Maddalena going against Danny Roberts. So I've had no bets thus far. No bets on these prelims. I mean, the prelims are extremely sketchy. A lot of these fights can go either way. Fighters that I can't trust. I can't trust Turcios. I can't trust Miles Johns. I can't trust Jennifer Maia. The Zumagulov fight's going to be close. I definitely can't trust Vanessa Demopolis and her 7% takedown accuracy. I'm not trusting Brady Heestand yet. And Natalia Silva, Teresa Bladea, who knows? Staying away from these prelims. But the main card, I do a bet on every single fight, so we'll talk about this. All right. So, Mushroom, how you doing? Saw your lunch today, looking good. But we have Jack Della Maddalena going against Danny Roberts, and I have 3 parlays on this card. And in this fight, I do have 2 parlay pieces. So the first parlay piece I have is Jack Della Maddalena money line. I parlayed it with the Ryan Spann Dominic Reyes fight. Doesn't go to decision last week. That cashed. So I now have 1.5 units on Jack Della Maddalena at minus 150, thanks to that parlay with Ryan Spann. Parlayed that at like minus 450 last week. Money's been coming in on Jack, and I saw that he is like minus 700 on Bet Online at the moment, but he's still like minus 650, minus 550 out there on some books. But yeah, I do like Jack Della Maddalena quite a bit. No hot take here. Yeah, I think it's a bad matchup for Danny Roberts. Danny Roberts he's 35 years old. He's taken a ton of damage throughout his career. He's been knocked out a handful of times in the UFC. He's been hurt in a lot of his fights. And I think the damage is really starting to catch up to him. In his last fight against Francisco Trinaldo, who's like 42, 43, a guy that doesn't have a ton of power. Trinaldo was like hurting Danny Roberts with everything he was landing. I mean, Danny Roberts was just wobbling the entire 15-minute fight. And there was multiple opportunities for Trinaldo to finish the fight, multiple. And there was one where he was super close, but he went for a takedown, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, I don't think Jack's letting him off the hook here in this fight. I don't. If you're getting wobbled constantly against Trinaldo, I don't know. I think Jack's going to put him out here. Jack, tons of volume, tons of power. Danny Roberts, very hittable, very chinny. It's been finished in 5 of 6 losses. I think Jack puts him out here and probably in the first round. So I parlayed Jack de la Madalena, like I said, with the Reyes span. Fight doesn't go to decision. I have 1.5 units on that at -150. And then I also parlayed the fight doesn't go to decision here with the main event under 3.5. That came out to -155, and I have 1.55 units on that. So a lot of my night comes down to Jack Della Maddalena and Jack Della Maddalena finishing the fight, and I think he does so. He's finished all but one of his wins. The one win that he did not finish was against Angelusa, and I'm not sure how Angelusa survived. I'm not sure what Angelusa's head is made of because he took an absolute beating in that fight, a beating that I do not think that Danny Roberts can take at all. So Jack Della Maddalena, parlay piece. Fight doesn't get the decision. Parlay piece. A lot of my night comes down to Jack Della Maddalena. He's the biggest favorite on the card by a mile here. So give me Jack here. And then on DraftKings, 9,600. I like him a lot. Lots of upside here. He's expensive, but there's a lot of dogs I like, especially down low. So I'm able to get him in a lot of my lineups, and he's going to be my highest exposed fighter on the slate. We got Sarah saying hello from Mississippi. Hello, Sarah. How you doing? Yes, Freak. Scottsdale, Arizona. What is up? Yes, Freak. Mushroom saying Madalena by murder, potentially. Lots of people on Danny Roberts in the chat. I see Danny Roberts is the play. There we go. We'll see. Jack finishes a lock. Oh, don't say that. Don't say it's a lock. I'm not sure on DK, though, at 9,600. Yeah, I think he finishes them. Jack was tired in the Lusa fight and threw low blow. Roberts second round sub bombs away. There we go. Okay. Thomas liking the Roberts second round sub. And then the lock is Roberts first round. Spivak first round. Parlay is a lock. There we go. All right. We'll keep moving on then. We got Muslim Salikhov going against Andre Fialho. And I have a play here. I like the fight doesn't go to decision. I parlayed the fight doesn't go to decision with the under 3.5 in the main event. Came out to +105, and I put 1 unit on that. I think somebody's getting knocked out here. I don't feel too confident in the side here. Fialho looked in incredible shape at the weigh-ins. He really did. So he looks like he's coming in here prepared and ready to go, which is good to see if you are on the Fialho side. Salikhov looking kind of old. He's 38 years old. But Fialho very dangerous offensively, defensively leaves a lot to desire. He's the guy that eats 3 to give 1. I mean, this guy has, one of the worst significant strike differentials you'll ever see. He lands 3.78, absorbs 6.65. You don't really like to see that. And he does have a 48% striking defense. I also think that Fialho is pretty chinny as well. So I think both guys live for a knockout here. I like the fight doesn't go. I like the under 2.5. I think somebody gets finished here. It's a pick 'em, -110 each way. Looks like some money's coming in on Fialho, but I like violence here. I think it's a solid fight to target on DraftKings. Fialho, it looks like he's now the favorite on some books at 7,900. I think that's solid, but I think both sides of the DraftKings are solid here. I think somebody's getting knocked out, and probably early as well. But yeah, the fight doesn't go to decision for me. Parlay with that main event under 3.5, and I have 1 unit on that at +100, +105. Madalena almost got choked out by Amiv. No good fighter gets caught in that. Yeah, he got out of that. And then he also got out of a choke against Angelusa as well. Mushroom saying Fialho KO and under 1.5. I like both. I think somebody gets knocked out. Fialho by KO is +185. Salikhov by KO +225. Fialho gets hurt easily. He does. He got hurt by Van Camp. And Jake Matthews, of all people, was beating the crap out of this guy, hurting him a ton of times until finishing him. This will be a repeat of Pereira fight. Boring decision. Maybe. We'll see. I'm kind of seeing it different. I think somebody's going to get finished in this one. But we will see. All right. Next, we have the People's Main Event. The 1-800-GAMBLER fight of the week. We have Waldo Cortez Acosta going against Chase Sherman, and I hate this fight a lot. This is a fight that it's such a low-level fight, and it's on the main card, And it's a fight where I have a bet on it, unfortunately. Not happy about it, but I saw this line and I thought it was a mistake at first. I thought it was an absolute mistake. On BetOnline, they had the scorecards equals no action for Chase Sherman at plus 250. I thought it was a mistake line. Apparently it wasn't. So I had to bet it. And to be honest, I was tempted to bet Chase Sherman at plus 150. So I thought, okay, the scorecard is no action. If this does go the distance, you get your money back there, which is good because Sherman is 1-4 in decisions. So I took a half unit shot on that Sherman's no scorecards at plus 250. On FanDuel, it's actually plus 260 at the moment. And I think that should be a pick 'em at worst. Not only do I think this fight is going to play out very closely, but you take a look at their finish rate. Like, Sherman's a finisher. He doesn't win decision. Like, that's not his thing. He's only won one decision in 26 fights. He's finished all but one of his wins. And then Waldo Cortez Acosta, he only has a 63% finish rate. I mean, he's never been finished, but the best guy he's fought is Jared Vanderaa, and Sherman knocked out Vanderaa. So I just thought that line was off, and I think the money line's off. Like, I'm not sure what's going on here. I see this as a complete coin flip. Narrative aside, I think it's a super close fight, but the whole narrative is Acosta just fought recently. He took a lot of damage to the leg. The guy was limping in the first round, and he's coming back, a couple weeks later against a guy that is very active with the leg kicks and Chase Sherman. I just don't get it. Like, the line really worries me. Like, is Sherman coming in here with an undisclosed knee injury? Is he going to pull a Derek Minner here? Like, is he coming in here with a shoulder injury that we don't know about? Like, what's going on here? I know Chase Sherman's a bum, and that's probably why people are betting Acosta, but is he that much of a bum? Is he a plus 190 worthy being a bum? I just don't get it. Waldo Cortez Acosta went to a super close decision with Jared Vanderaa. Sherman knocked out Jared Vanderaa. I don't get it at all. Am I happy that I have a bet on Chase Sherman? No, not at all. But I'm kind of forced to because I see this as a very close fight. Could Acosta knock out Sherman? Of course he could. But could Sherman knock out Acosta? Yeah, he could. I see this as a close fight. So, I don't know. The line makes no sense, and it's only gotten worse. Money's still pouring in on Waldo Cortez Acosta. So we'll see what happens. I hate the bet. I would not recommend betting this fight, but seeing that plus 250 for the Sherman no score, it just didn't make any sense to me. So I have a half unit on that, and that half unit, it feels like too much. It feels like I have too much on this fight. I hate betting on fights like this, and I typically don't bet on fights like this, but I just think that line's so off. So from DraftKings perspective as well, Sherman at 7,100. I mean, you got to play it. I mean, I feel like this fight should be lined like 8,200 Acosta, 8,000 Sherman. So yeah, I like this fight from a DraftKings perspective just because Chase Sherman's so cheap. It allows you to do so much in your lineup. And then I don't mind some Acosta at 9,100 just because he does have some knockout upside. Sherman has been knocked out before. So yeah, the pick is Chase Sherman. The line doesn't make a ton of sense. And he's actually plus 200 now. And I saw that he was like plus 225 on Bet365. Yeah, not sure what's going on. Let's see if that moved at all. Yeah, still plus 200 on BetOnline. I was tempted to bet him at plus 150. So, yeah, baffling. Just baffling. It's got to be injured or something. I don't know what's going on. All right. No way Sherman wins 2 in a row in the UFC. Picking Waldo just off of that. Dogger pass spot, though. Yeah, nothing's wrong with picking Waldo, but something's wrong with betting him at like minus 225. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, Waldo could absolutely, especially if this goes to decision, I think Waldo probably wins it. But that line, I don't know. Shermanator plus 190. Sherman. Lots of Sherman. Yeah, and there's Sherman love not only in the chat, but everywhere, which is just another reason why I don't get why the line is going the other way. That's why I'm kind of thinking Sherman's hurt or something. I really, truly believe that Sherman might be hurt because this line makes no sense to me. Get some help, Waldo. I think both of these guys need help. Sherman will win. Sherman fighting with monkeypox, maybe. Does Brady believe in MMA math? No, sir. Absolutely not. But you can bring it up here and there. Waldo, after getting KO'd, where am I? There you go. Where is Waldo? We'll see him tomorrow. Waldo couldn't finish Vandera and is coming back too soon. Legs are beat up. Yeah, that's the big narrative. So we'll see what happens. A fight that I'm not proud of betting, and I will probably regret it tomorrow, but had to be done. At least it's only a half a unit, right? All right, let's keep moving on. We have Ion Kudalaba going against Kennedy and Nzechukwu. Before we get into it, if you guys have not smashed the like button, be sure to do so. All likes go a long, long way. But yeah, this is a fight where it was weird at the weigh-ins today. Kudalaba, probably the biggest madman in the UFC, went out there, was shaking Kennedy's hand, put his arm around him, and he's a nice guy now, which nice Kudalaba, honestly, is kind of more terrifying than the madman Kudalaba. Like, that was scary to see Kudalaba acting normal. It was weird situation there. So I'm not sure what's going on. Reverse psychology, I don't know what he's doing, but that was odd. That is not the typical Ion Kudalaba behavior. Yeah, if you like Kennedy, I would wait to live bet him. I mean, this is a guy that his path to victory is literally getting beat up until his opponent gasses out, and that probably could happen here. So if you like Kennedy, like, why bet him at minus 180? Why not bet him after the first round? Because there's a very good chance he loses the first round. Like, this guy, it takes him a while to get going. So, and that's even something I'm going to look at. I'm going to look to live bet Kennedy after the first round if it makes it there. But I do have a quarter unit shot on Ion Kudalaba to win in the first round by knockout, plus 800 on Bet Online. Looks like it just recently moved today, now to plus 650. But yeah, I think that's how he wins. Kennedy starts super slow. Ion starts super fast. And, Kennedy's going to try to Homer Simpson this one, but I don't know. Ion Kudalaba, do you really want to, try the Homer Simpson approach against a guy like Kudalaba? I don't know if it's going to work. So, yeah, taking a quarter unit shot, Kudalaba round one knockout. If Kennedy does survive, maybe look to live bet Kennedy because I think he's going to get beat up bad in the first round, if not finish. So that's kind of how I'm attacking it. Don't mind Kudalaba at all on DraftKings, 7,400 for that first round upside. 13 of his 16 wins come in the very first round. As far as Kennedy, he probably loses the first round more often than not, and then maybe he comes back and gets a come from behind victory like he typically always does. That can definitely be on the table there, but from a DraftKings perspective, I'm more so on the Kudalaba side, and I do have a quarter unit bet on to win in the first round by knockout there. So Kudalaba for me. Let's see if the Homer Simpson approach works on this one. Really liking Ion here plus 150. I really like Kudalaba this week, folks. Think he can just use that Greco-Roman wrestling for 50. You think he's a winning decision here? Watch the first two rounds of Kennedy versus Danilo Marquez and tell me that Ion can't do that. Just worry about the card. Yeah, me too. But the truth is, even though he isn't looking good in his last few, his cardio management has been looking better. No sub threat from Kennedy as well. Yeah, Kennedy does have 0 submissions. Never submitted anybody, not even Carl Roberson, which is interesting. Never take a guy who's been knocked out by a phantom punch. Yeah, that was odd. That was very odd, to say the least. Sherman over 1.5. I like that look. Something I was kind of considering as well. Even the fight goes to decision, I thought was interesting. What was the take on Salikhov and Moroz? I like the fight doesn't go in the Salikhov fight. I think somebody's getting knocked out. And as far as the Moroz fight, I'm picking her, but I'm not laying minus 190. Kudalaba is grappling is good, but Kennedy could get round 3 KO if Kudalaba gasses. Yeah, definitely on the table. And yeah, Kennedy is huge. And no problem. All right. Main event time. Sergey Spivak going against Derek Lewis. And it's a tough fight to call. Like, every single Derek Lewis fight is a tough fight to call, no matter how confident you are. I learned to not be confident in a Derek Lewis fight a long time ago because there's matchups where I'm extremely confident in picking it against him, and he goes out there and knocks the guy out, He was the underdog against Chris Daukaus recently. He was a big underdog against Curtis Blades. Big underdog. I thought that was a horrible matchup for Lewis, but he goes out there and knocks out Blades, and I think it's another horrible matchup for Derek Lewis. Does that mean he's going to lose? I mean, it's possible he goes out there and pulls off the upset. I mean, you cannot count out Derek Lewis, but I think it's a bad matchup for him. I think Spivak's going to be able to get takedowns at will, but I'm not extremely confident in that. I'm confident in violence, and violence is going to pretty much make or break my night. I have the under 3.5 parlayed with two different things. The first parlay is the under 3.5 parlayed with the Salikhov fight doesn't go to decision. That one at plus 105 for 1 unit. And then I have the Spivak Lewis under 3.5 parlayed with the Jack Della Maddalena Danny Roberts fight doesn't go to decision, minus 155 for 1.55 units. So my night comes down to violence here. Under 3.5 rounds, striker versus grappler. I like it a lot. I think it's either Spivak takes down Lewis consistently and pounds him out or subs him, or I think Derek Lewis lands a big shot and knocks out Sergey Spivak. Not confident in a money line here, especially -1. You don't want to be laying that chalk against Derek Lewis. But yeah, I'm confident in violence. I think this fight does fit. I mean, it's not a hot take either. Like the fight doesn't go as -800 on BetOnline, -1,000 on FanDuel Sportsbook. So yeah, just give me the under here. From a DraftKings perspective, I'm 100% own on this fight. I think I'm like 60-40 in favor of Spivak. So, but I'm not completely ruling out Derek Lewis here. The guy has obviously some of the best power in the heavyweight division. Spivak's been knocked out twice in the UFC in the first round. And if Lewis connects, like Spivak can very well get knocked out. It's a close fight. So Spivak's the pick, I suppose, but the real pick is violence, under 3.5 rounds. I don't mind under 2.5 rounds. So yeah, give me violence here. Kraus thinks Spivak dominates. There we go. What's up, David? How you doing? We've gotten Spivak 1 unit, 1.53. It's going to be scary, but I think he does win. Spivak takedown to TKO or sub. Yeah, I'm leaning that way as well. Mushroom saying Spivak inside the distance, a few shots to the body, and Lewis will fold like a long chair. Yeah, I think Lewis will fold like a lawn chair in a couple different situations. I think if Spivak takes him down a couple times, lands some ground, I think he could fold that way as well. But yeah, we'll go over my bets. Not a ton to talk about, guys. I mean, I hate this card from a betting perspective. I have a freaking bet on Chase Sherman, if that tells you anything. So yeah, not a ton of action. 3 parlays this week. The first parlay was the Dominic Reyes Ryan Spann fight doesn't go to decision. Parlayed with the Jack Della Maddalena money line, came out to -150, 1.5 units. The next parlay is Derek Lewis Sergey Spivak under 3.5 rounds. Parlayed with the Jack Della Maddalena Danny Roberts fight doesn't go to decision, -155, 1.55 units. The third parlay is the Derek Lewis Sergey Spivak under 3.5 rounds. Parlay with the fight doesn't go to decision in the Salikhov Fialho fight, +105 for 1 unit. And then I have a half unit shot on that Sherman scorecards equals no action. If the fight goes to decision, the bet voids. And I have a quarter unit shot on Kudalaba to win by first round knockout. Keeping it light, short and sweet. Had a monster night last week. I had 16 bets last week. One of the better nights of the year. Don't want to give it all back on betting on freaking Ricky Turcios or Vanessa Demopolis or Miles Johns or Marina Moroz or Charles. Like, these are tough fights. Have no interest. So yeah, keeping it light. Bankroll management. Hate this card from a betting perspective. But from a fan perspective, I think this card's awesome. I think it's going to be a lot of fun fights. I like this card from a DraftKings perspective, but from a betting perspective, it's not a ton sticking out, which is the complete opposite of last week, because I bet on pretty much every fight last week. Oh my gosh. Chase Sherman lock of the night. I don't know about that, man. Come on. I do not know about that. Muslim at KO round 2. I think somebody's getting knocked out. I do slightly lean Muslim, but Fialho looked in incredible shape today at the weigh-ins. Appreciate you, Mushroom. Great show, Brady. Let's stack them high. Tomorrow, if anybody's interested, I will be live for Best Bet 1 hour prior to the prelims. The prelims start at 1. I'll be going live at 12, giving the best bet for each and every fight. And as we know, there are 2 rules, current lines and no passing. So I know I did a lot of passing on this show, but I will be giving out a best bet for each and every fight tomorrow, which should be interesting. And yeah, fight starts super early tomorrow, which is kind of nice. Don't mind some early, not too early. Like, I think 1 o'clock Eastern time is perfect, but I hate like the really early ones, but 1 o'clock's not bad. All right. Gonna head out, get some dinner. Thank you guys for tuning in. Best of luck for UFC Vegas 65. Bankroll management's key. Don't be going out there and putting your house on Danny Roberts, like a couple people said in the chat. Don't do that. Don't put your house on Sergey Spivak. I mean, don't do that. Just be careful. Be careful. So, have you and Weezy ever thought of doing a DK show, just you two going through the cats like you do on the stats like you do on Stat Tickers? I think that would be fire. Not a fan of the other two guys in the structure of the show. Oh, I like Monk and Gordo. No, because we have that DK show on Wednesday, so don't really see us adding maybe like a quick show going over the stats, but I don't know. Put the house on Iron. No, but I do think he wins, but no, not the house. FCC, full contact contender with the $3 dono. Appreciate you, full contact contender. Thank you for hanging out, participating in the chat. Does go a long way there. All right. Leave a like, subscribe, and we will talk to you guys soon. Best of luck. UFC Vegas 65. See you later.